Good morning, welcome back to the West Ham Daily. My name is Anton and we are bringing you another video for today. I hope you're well, but before we get started, please keep your comments coming in. Of course, subscribe to the channel and of course hit the thumbs up. But before we get started, I want to bring to you today our channel sponsors, which is Football Prizes. And look at the top that is up for grabs this week. What a fantastic prize that is. I want to know if you can all hear me okay as well. I'm actually just needing to make sure my audio is working fine, which I think it is. So please let me know in the comments if it is. But what a fantastic prize that's up for grabs this week from Football Prizes. It is a signed Jeff Hurst framed shirt. And you can enter the competition by clicking on the link that I'm about to put in the chat just now. And there you go. That's it there. And you can pay £3.95 for a ticket. And the prize all stops on Friday at 7:30 p.m. with the live draw at 8:30 p.m. So what a fantastic prize. Make sure you buy a couple of tickets because I will be also buying a couple of tickets. Anyway, today's show, as you can see, is titled about Yarmolenko and is his future being decided at West Ham. And Yarmolenko scored twice as Ukraine beat Cyprus 4-0 in the UEFA Euro 2020 warm-up internationals. The West Ham forward took his personal tally for his country to 40 goals for his country with a brace. Like I said, opening the scoring with a penalty 8 minutes before half-time. Yarmolenko made it 4-0 with his second goal of the game midway through the second half. And this time it was a deflected strike as Ukraine continued their preparations for the Euros. Ukraine now head to Amsterdam to face Holland in the Group C opener on Sunday before taking on North Macedonia and Austria in Budapest in Hungary. But what I want to know is, does Yarmolenko have a future at West Ham or not? Get your comments in and let me know. So after a season stuck on the sidelines at West Ham, Yarmolenko would certainly be forgiven if he fancied a fresh start. So you've got the likes of Felipe Anderson, Seb Haller and co. And Yarmolenko is one of the number of high-earning, underperforming players to have tumbled down the pecking order since David Moyes returned to West Ham. And furthermore, with just 12 months left in his contract, and West Ham do have an option to extend if need be, you'd imagine that we would rather potentially cash in on the £115,000 a week bench warmer now than lose him in, say, a free transfer this time next year. Get your comments in again, letting me know your thoughts. 115 grand a week for a player. We're going to go through some of Yarmolenko's stats in this video. But before we do, let's take a little look at some of his earlier career. Some amount of goals, isn't it? I mean, and to score that amount of goals and be involved in that amount of assists is pretty much nearly 1 in every 2 games. So in December 2006, Yarmolenko signed a 5-year contract with Ukrainian club Dynamo Kiev, where he joined its second team, Dynamo 2, which plays in the lower leagues for a couple of seasons. The talented youngster at the time was praised as the new Sheva after Shevchenko by journalists who noted his qualities of good physique, shot, and especially his speed at the time. Of course, he doesn't have the speed now. The then vice president of Dynamo, Sabo, also praised the youngster, saying Yarmolenko has all the makings to become a top-level player. And in 2008, he debuted for Dynamo's first team in an away match against Poltava and scored the winning goal in Kiev's 2-1 victory. He scored 7 goals in 21 games in his first season and 11 in 19 in his second. And he's now, as he is now, regularly used as a left or centre forward. At the time, though, for Dynamo Kiev, he has actually notched 137 goals, making him the club's all-time goal scorer, adding to that 90 assists. And that's obviously what drew the attention to the club, Borussia Dortmund, who in 2017, he signed for them a contract for Borussia Dortmund, and he made his debut for Dortmund as a substitute at the 79th minute against another German side. He got his first start for them against Tottenham Hotspur, actually, in the Champions League, where he scored Dortmund's only goal, but they did get beat 3-1. I mean, his career wasn't as fruitful compared to Dynamo Kiev, but he did play 26 games, scoring 6 goals and 6 assists. And while he's not set the world alight since his £17 million transfer from Borussia Dortmund, he has scored some memorable goals. Let's think about the game against Chelsea, which is the image I'm showing you just now, Manchester United and Everton, and it was hoped that he could still have an impact off the bench in the latter part of the season. Sometimes, I mean, listen, sometimes footballers' careers in a big international tournament comes up, and that's when they, a young, extraordinary talent can shine through, or it could be someone who's experienced who could reignite their career. So the Euros could be coming at the right time for Yarmolenko. I wonder if it's come at the right time, at the right place for him, to be honest, because he's in that kind of no man's land. Fans are thinking, we need to sell Yarmolenko. What could we get for him? Do we need to take him off the wage budget and try and look at bringing someone else in? What would we get for a fee for Yarmolenko? He set himself up well in the lead up to this tournament, bagging a brace the other night against Cyprus, as I've mentioned. He's got himself fit again, and after suffering from several injuries this season, some would say if he does have a good tournament, he is putting himself in either the shopping window for other clubs to come and sign him, or is he committed to staying at West Ham, considering he has some decent stats to show? I mean, they're not the best, but they're decent. 54 appearances for West Ham, bagged 10 goals. He's got 6 assists. Not bad for a player that's been plagued with a lot of injuries throughout his career. Do you think a good tournament with Ukraine would give him an opportunity to return to West Ham, considering we have a thin squad, or to help us with a fixture-congested season we'll have with Europa League football, considering he has European club football experience? What do you think? It's an interesting one because, like I said, he's hit a little bit of form for his country. He's their second all-time goal scorer behind Shevchenko. And we all know what he's capable of on his day. Do you think Moyes is going to try and keep him to use his experience of European football, international football, and use it for Europa League? Or is he going to try and bite the bullet to clear out the wage bill and try and bring in some transfer fee for him? I mean, if Yarmolenko has a good summer at the Euros, what would that do for his valuation? Would that bring his valuation back up for the 30, what is he, 32, did I say? The report 31 or 32? So, I don't know. It's an interesting one. Let's take a look and see what you guys are saying in the comments. Morning. Thank you very much for joining us, Mick. I know it's an early show today. We will be doing potentially another show later on, but we thought we'd bring you this content just now. Jordan Drawer still won't be on early, will he? He'll be assembling his tiny pieces of glasses together and gluing his lenses. Just joking, by the way. Glasses look good on you. Hope they look good on me as well. West Ham Random Peach, his new YouTube channel. Go across and check that out. Antonio. Thank you, Rob, for joining us, mate. I'm good. Thank you very much, Gary. Hope you are well. You're all talking to each other. Vinay is saying he is always injured. Otherwise, he is a good player. He is, but he does hit form at the right time. And with West Ham's thin squad, the only benefit to West Ham selling, say, the likes of Yarmolenko is his wage bill, 115 grand a week. I think he's the highest earner now at the club. And that would clear our feet in order to try and negotiate with other players to bring other players in. However, if Moyes can, I mean, let's think about Yarmolenko. Let's think about the Euros. Let's think if he has a fantastic tournament, what that does for players. And if we're watching that and Yarmolenko was playing and we didn't sign him and he ends up top. Listen, I'm exaggerating here, but if he ends up the top goal scorer at the tournament, every club would be looking at the likes of Yarmolenko going, why can't we bring that guy in? And okay, yes, we've had a little bit of his injuries haven't been great, but when he's on form, he's on form. So it'll be an interesting one. Rob's projector wall, 2 games a week next season. We need all the players we have and more, in my opinion. And this is why I'm not so sure he's going to go. I mean, his agent recently has declined a move to Russia. Now, he never said that Yarmolenko's leaving. He actually said that Yarmolenko is not going to the Russian Football League, and but he never said that he would stay. He would stay at the club. But I don't know, because we are thin under the ground, and having that option off the bench, he could grow into being that kind of clever bench player that clubs do need, you know. Clive Trevelling, afternoon Anton, glad to see you out from under the stairs, mate. I like Yarno, if I'm honest, but he has had lots of times out with injuries. He has, mate, he has. There's always a but, though. I mean, if he, like I said, if he's found a bit of form, he's fit again, if he starts to do, you know, Moyes likes him. I don't doubt for a second Moyes likes him. If a club comes in with something like £15 million, I don't for a second think that West Ham, I think we would accept that offer, and I think he would go. But it has to be a two-way thing, really, for each of the clubs to agree, and obviously Yarmolenko to leave. But Europa League's going to keep him interested. And I actually think he may rise to the occasion in something like the Europa League. I think he's probably going to be an important, if he stays at West Ham, a very important player for West Ham in the Europa League for squad rotation, 100%. Stuart K, thank you for joining us. Hope you are okay. West Ham random, Yarma is causing drama. He absolutely is. Gary Rutter, Yarmolenko's just got skills, but he's just too slow. He absolutely is. And he used to be really fast, but he's not anymore. His legs are gone. But he can still play an important part of West Ham's future. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And money talks, we all know that. I would keep Yarma cyber leader. Dalek is in the house. Yep. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Get your comments in. Actually, tell you what, while I'm reading through these comments, let me know, first and foremost, would you keep Yarmolenko and why? And would you sell Yarmolenko and why? And what would you sell for in terms of, what value would you take? Get it in the comments and we'll go through it as well. Yarmolenko is at the best left foot in our squad, in my opinion. He's just too injury prone, as was the case before we signed him. Yep, I do agree with you. Is there a show at 1:30 after the Russian show? As it stands, it's not at 1:30 today, Dalek. We've changed the times a little bit. We're actually just decided to bring content every day, but we're not going to specifically say a time. What we're actually going to do is allow the show to be notified to all the YouTube subscribers. If you subscribe to us, you'll know when the show comes out. So we'll give you a minimum of 45 minutes notice that a show is going to come out. But we'll try and give you a bit longer if we can. So, yeah, it's big wages for a man who picks up injuries and sitting on the bench. But next season, like I said, think about the amount of games that we've got to play with, Gary. Glenn Marshall, I think sell him. Moyes will not really be playing him. Use the money for a Moyes-type player. But I do think Moyes doesn't mind him. I think he likes him. I think he potentially knows when to use him. Although, do we want to pay 115k a week for a player that potentially will sit on the bench and won't start every single game? Probably not. Victor Fenn, Yarmolenko's always has played well for his country, still want to sit on the bench at his age. I don't think he will want to sit on the bench at his age. However, I've said it all along, Europa League means West Ham will be playing 50 plus games next season, and we're going to be playing squad rotation. And I think this is where you talk about the likes of Ben Rama and all the players that sit on the bench and some of the younger players sitting there as well. The players are going to get game time next season 100%, because no player can sit out there, turn up and play 50 games. Also heard signed a new contract. Is that true? I don't know who you're talking about there. Dalek. Received my mug. Many thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much, Glenn. Yeah, good. I hope you enjoy it. And you didn't need to donate, but thank you very much for doing it. Really kind of you. That was a good penalty yesterday by him. Yarmolenko, yeah, he got a brace, like I said, against Cyprus. Stills Cyprus. Don't think he was too happy. Vinay, I like Yarma. He can be an important impact sub. He seems to be confident about his own ability. I think he is confident. I think he's a confidence player, and he's a skillful player. But, that you've got to manage that balance between young players and experienced players. He's got a lot of experience. I mean, look at the amount of goals he's scored in his career. I don't have the actual image, but I've got it at the end of the video that we had up earlier on. But, I mean, for Dynamo Kiev, 340 games, 137 goals, 90 assists. For West Ham, 54 games, 10 goals, and 6 assists. Borussia Dortmund, 26 games, 6 goals, and 6 assists. I mean, the guy does score goals when he's played to his strengths, I suppose you could say. I'm not saying we need to 100% keep him, but I wonder if he's got a future at West Ham. Keith, Keep him for games against lower clubs, especially in Europe. I think he would. I'm not repeat myself here, but I think he's potentially got an opportunity to actually stay at West Ham and do it. But the only concern for me is the 115k a week. That's a lot of money. Gary Rutter, bring in player with some young, fresh legs. Yep, absolutely. I mean, that's what Moyes wants to do. So yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. Need players that will start games, trusted from kickoff, not a 10-minute cameo. Do you know what, Glenn? You make the most valid point probably from today. We should be bringing in players that will want to actually start from the club. But then what you've got there is managing egos, and can Moyes do that? I think he can. But it'll be interesting. Vinay, Benny and Yarmo starting would be an interesting combination in Europe. Yeah, definitely. And I think with Yarmolenko's experience of playing in Europe, then it's potentially could be an option for him. Confused, Cockney, Yarmolenko has experience in Europe and he's capable of creating something in tight games. It's just, will he be fit enough if he's providing value for money considering his wages? Absolutely. 15k a week, mate, it's a lot of money for West Ham to be paying out for a player just to be sitting on the bench. I was talking about Moyes signing a new contract. I don't think it's agreed yet, to be honest, but I can see it happening very soon. West Ham, yeah, absolutely. David, more than that, not sure why everyone is surprised that Southgate was a bottler as a player and as a manager. Pretty high. Come on, you Irons. Yeah, we spoke about that a lot yesterday. Absolutely. Cyber leader, is Lingard and Krul still our top targets? I believe that Lingard will look at negotiating with West Ham as long as Moyes signs the contract. I mean, listen, no player will sign for West Ham, really, until Moyes signs that contract. So even though we do transfer shows and information, it's just, we're just gonna have to wait and see until he signs that club. The last two clubs, 80 games, 16 goals, not a good return. Yeah, I know it's not, but he's had an injury-plagued West Ham career, and he's had a bit of an injury-plagued Borussia Dortmund career. I mean, some will say that paying £17 million for an injury, you know, some of the injuries he had at Borussia Dortmund weren't great. And I didn't really know about his injuries at the time, but I did know about the player and I knew the quality that he had for Borussia Dortmund. So I was really excited when West Ham signed him. Genuinely really excited to see Yarmolenko come in, and I thought he fulfilled some of his, mantra around him when he played for West Ham. But I mean, was it his Achilles? He ruptured his Achilles, didn't he? At home, and that really kind of knocked him back. And I wonder if that Achilles injury hadn't happened, I wonder where he'd gone on to now, because he does look like he's got an eye for goal as well. So, but I mean, I've asked you the question: would you sell him or would you keep him? 115k a week. What fee would you accept for him? We'll see. Armstrong from Blackburn looks like Moyes player. Yeah, but there's a few strikers out there, to be honest, Clive, as well. And it's going to be depending on the valuation of these clubs and what they value their players at, because we all know Moyes likes a deal, and he can potentially look at finding players further afield in Europe, etc. And of course, because Moyes has accepted that role within UEFA, he's going to be out at the Euros watching players, watching talent, etc., which will only be but good for West Ham. Vinny, David Trevitt, unfortunately Southgate type is what F8 wants as a manager. I hope Southgate proves us wrong. I am disappointed for the likes of Lingard. I'm disappointed even for James Ward-Prowse, because I think the two of those players are game changers, and the inclusion of Ben White's just a weird one for me, when considering you've got players that can cover all defensive positions. I don't know what it is about some of these managers that just like to be so defensive and protect the defence. I mean, you're going to want game changers, and I'm baffled at why you've not taken. I mean, there's two players there, three players potentially: Ollie Watkins, James Ward-Prowse, and Jesse Lingard, that would make a difference in that team, in that squad. Absolutely. We'd love to see Moyes take some risks and buy some non-English Premier League players. Seems like they always have an extra tax. We'll see. I mean, you never know what he's going to bring in. Steve the Wave, he's an international player for a reason. We should keep him. It's a valid point, mate. I mean, it'll be the point of this video really is down to the fact of what does Yarmolenko do in the Euros. If he has a good Euros, imagine he absolutely takes Euros by storm, which I wouldn't be surprised. He's a sort of player, Ukraine are the sort of team that could upset a couple of teams. I'm saying this now, and then next week they could have a terrible tournament, but we don't know. But it'll be interesting to see if he has a good tournament, what actually happens with his West Ham career. Do you tell that goal that he scored against Chelsea? Big Frank was, and yes, I remember it, and it was amazing. We've done one of those live match day lives as well. We went absolutely mental. Yarmo for Armstrong, straight swap. Yeah, but Yarmolenko won't go Blackburn, mate. He really won't. he really won't. Confused Cockney, I'd probably say get rid. He was probably the best player outside the top 5 leagues before he went to Dortmund and got that injury, so it was worth the gamble, but time to move on now. You could be right, mate. You could be right. David Trevitt, never been an Yarmolenko fan. Player swap with Stell. They're the same speed. I don't think Stell's watching this just now. Gary Rutter, we have on habit of putting players on big wages, but we don't get anything in return. But like I said, could the Euros be the spark that brings his West Ham career back and he keeps a bit of fitness? Because, Gary, we're going to need players for the new season. We are a thin squad. And if West Ham only go and sign 3 players, is 3 players still enough? Obviously, we'll be looking at youth players, but it wouldn't surprise me if we don't settle him, if I'm being brutally honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me. Cyber leader, Armstrong, no way, he won't come to us. I would take Ayew back instead of Armstrong. Wow, that's a big statement, Dalek. That's a big, big statement. But that really brings an end to today's show. Short, sweet. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel. Please make sure you leave a comment. And of course, please hit the thumbs up. Would you like to keep Yarmolenko? Keep the comments coming in. And would you sell him? And if you would sell him, how much would you sell him for? I am saying that if he has a decent Euros, the West Ham will look to potentially keep him on their books for such a fixture congested new season coming up next year. So it'll be an interesting one to see. Thank you very much for joining us. Keep an eye out on the channel today because we might be bringing you another little bit of content depending on what news comes out. And yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you with us. And come on, you Iron.